When the student comes for lessons, the most important thing is they're motivated, because it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of time and money. It's not easy to get a pilot's license. It's a hard skill to learn. But if they stick with it, most people can do it. And the other thing is, I mean, they're willing to hit the books. There's a little bit of book learning involved. They have to be willing to, read some books outside of the time that they're here at the airport. And then, and this is where the instructors play a big role, we try and make it fun. I mean, if it's not fun, it's not worth doing. So each part, somewhere in the lesson, it has to be enjoyable to them. It can't be all work or all torture or all whatever. But flying is a lot of work. It's a hard skill. Very few people learn how to fly because it's very challenging. What are some of the fears? People worry about turbulence. That's where the plane is bumping around. And most of the turbulence that we expect, I mean, we're very careful. The instructors are very careful to check the weather before we go up in the plane. So we have a good idea, or we talk to other pilots who've already been flying. We have a good idea of what the turbulence is. But sometimes it's a little bumpy, a little windy and gusty. The plane is going like this, bouncing around a little bit. And people, when they first encounter it, are sometimes uncomfortable. But what they discover, if they stick with it, it's not a safety issue. It's not harmful. The planes are built like, bricks. They're very sturdy, and they're not going to fall apart. The plane isn't going to dive for the ground or turn upside down with a little turbulence. It's just a little bit of bouncing around. It's a little uncomfortable, and people get used to that. Myself, I've gotten so used to it. I own an airplane. I go up in my own plane. I put on the XM Sirius music, put on the autopilot. I have to be careful that the turbulence puts me to sleep, because it's like being in a vibrator chair, I have to be careful I don't fall asleep with turbulence. You get used to it. Other things, I mean,
landing. How about landing?
Landing is the hardest thing to master. It takes the most practice, mainly because you're doing several or many things at once. You're watching airspeed, you're watching altitude, you're watching your glide path, you're watching your flaps, you're watching, are you too low, too high, all that stuff all at once. And things change fairly quickly. And you're low to the ground, so it matters. So you have to do everything right. Not perfectly, but everything has to come together into a fairly small range of good values, good parameters. And that's why it takes most people, a while to learn how to land. But once they learn how to land, piece of cake, and they've got it. It's like driving. Driving is now automatic. You don't get in the car and say, I have to turn the wheel 20 degrees to make a right turn. No, you just say, you think in your mind, I'm going to turn right. You just do it. Well, flying becomes almost that automatic for most of it. And that frees up our mind to think about other things like, what's the weather doing? What's the mechanical status of the airplane? Are my passengers enjoying the ride? Are we going to make it to lunch on time?